Ladies and gentlemen, hello. We got a few more minutes and then we're going to jump right into it. Thank you everyone for being here. I'll catch up in chat in just a bit. Flattery gets you everywhere, Karma. Can we talk about how amazing this menu music is, by the way? This is the opening menu. Don't make me pull out the Ohio Riz. I'll do it. Catch up. I'll do it. Ladies and gentlemen, hello everybody. Hello, welcome. There's a lot to talk about, so we're gonna do a couple of things first. Let me lay down exactly what the stream is gonna look like. I'm going to first catch up on chat, then I'm going to introduce myself and Acer Interactor for those who don't know who we are, talk a little bit about ambulance life, the news that's been announced today, and then we're gonna jump right into the demo. I'm gonna play it from beginning to end. I know what I'm doing, so it's about a 45-minute experience. I am going to cause chaos in the wake of all the decisions that I make, however. So I'm going to show you some stuff that maybe people aren't exploring in the demo, and then we're going to see it to the end. So first of all, hi everybody. How are you? How are you in this fabulous Thursday, and for some people, possibly Friday as well? I know we have some Aussies in chat. Aussie, oi, oi, oi. What are the best settings in the demo? I will cover that as well. Okay. So first things first, let me catch up on chat. Isaiah, hello, welcome back. Catch up, Supe, welcome back. Smoker, welcome back. Quasar, very good to see you. I know you've been waiting for this moment for a very long time. You have been very patient. Windot, hello. QTR, hello. Max Destroyer, hello. Carbamel, hello. Lady Jazzy, Needy TTV, Capillaries, Hellboy. There's so many new names in here and so many familiar names. Vince, Hustlin', Vince again, Miss Bells, QTR. We're caught up on every... Oh, wait, one more new one. Dirt Pro, hello, everybody, welcome. Okay, I'm not going to address the questions in chat yet. I'm going to do that when I do some Q&As while I'm playing. So first of all, let me please introduce myself. My name is Troy. I am the community director here at Acer Interactive. For those of you who don't know what my job is, I'm essentially the voice of the community and also the voice of the developers. So if the developers have anything to announce to you, I'm the one who's usually making the social media posts, or my compadres, Stefan or Adriano. We're all in this together. And if there's anything that needs to be delivered to the developers, whether it's feedback or suggestions being made, a specific crash issue that we keep seeing online, It's our job to then deliver that to the developers and figure out a way to get that resolved if it's possible. What a lot of people do often is confuse the developers with the publishers. So for the sake of this discussion, our wonderful publishing partners are Nacon. Phenomenal. We couldn't have asked for more collaborative partners on a game like this. Ambulance Life, a Paramedic Simulator, is something that's been near and dear to our hearts for quite a while now. Those of you who don't know Acer Interactive may know another simulator game that we've made called Police Simulator Patrol Officers. That game is about 4.5 years old now, if you include the development and the early access phase. And it had a bit of a rough launch because our team was really, really tiny when we came out with that almost 5 years ago now. Our team was like maybe 30 people large total for all of our games. Now, with the release of Ambulance Life, a Paramedic Simulator right on the horizon, we are now at about 110 to 120 people worldwide. And we've got folks from all over the world. I myself am in sunny Los Angeles, California, but our studio is based in Munich, Germany. So we have lots of Germans, of course, Austrians, Swiss, but we also have folks in Sweden, Brazil, England, India. I believe we have somebody in Vietnam. Couple of other places. We also had somebody from Portugal as well. Lots of places. So our unifying language at the studio is English. That way we make sure everybody has something that they can talk about, everybody can communicate with each other. And the way we build all of our games is several different groups are working on different games at the same time. So some studios do, everybody is all in on one single game. I mean, familiar with, say Baldur's Gate 3. The entire staff of all their studios were essentially building one single game for about 4 years. We do things slightly differently here, where we have pockets of people. Some people migrate between them. So for example, we have sound engineers that aren't necessarily needed on one single project 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks in a month. So what we do is they migrate a little bit between all of them. They go to where they're needed for a specific piece of that project at that time. And it's been working really well for us because it allows us to have several releases throughout a year, or, sometimes it's, every other year we have something major coming out or something smaller like an expansion or a DLC. So it works for us. We really love what we do. Some of the things that I've joined the company about a year ago, and before I joined, we did not have a community department at all. There was no community management. We essentially relied completely on the whim of our publishers, which sometimes was phenomenal and sometimes it wasn't as phenomenal. We wanted to reach out to people in a specific way. It just never worked out that way. And so there were sometimes messages that we wanted to get across that we couldn't get across. So building this community department, it has been extremely important to me to build out two major tenets when it comes to our community. One of them is radical transparency, and we're going to talk a little bit about it today and a little bit about what you can expect in the future. But essentially, if we make a mistake, we're going to own up to it. If there's something that maybe the community doesn't understand because it is a limitation in what people understand about the industry, I'm going to do my best to educate people on what the thing they might be missing out on is and help them maybe understand what's going on behind the scenes a little bit more. My mantra when it comes to dealing with communities is perception is reality. So even if something isn't really happening, if the community is perceiving that that is what's happening, then the reality is that that's what's happening, because all that matters is what the community thinks. So if we're not being communicative enough, or they think that this specific issue is not being addressed and we don't directly address that, or say like, hey, we know this is happening, but we can't do anything about it. If we don't do something, then we've probably failed as a community department. That's how I look at it. So my job always is going to be to protect my developers and protect my community at all times. That's why I'm here, and that's what I do. The second pillar when it comes to community management at Acer is going to be collaborative development. And some of you have already seen that if you're familiar with Windstorm, the Legend of Kimori, and where that is essentially going on. But realistically, what it comes down to is we want to be completely open with you guys for good and for bad. And we want you to be involved in the development of all of our games moving forward. It was a little too late for Ambulance Life to get you guys involved early. We did have a really amazing playtest with about 200 people very early on this year. But that was really, the game was essentially already feature complete and built out. We just had to essentially smooth out some of the edges, fix the balancing, and then we've been optimizing it ever since, really. But moving forward, a lot of our projects are going to be a lot more heavily involved in the community. The Legend of Kimori is a really one that's near and dear to our hearts as well. We are doing so much with the Legend of Kimori. I don't even really know where to start. Essentially, we announced the game the middle of this year. We are going into early access, but before we do that, we're going to be doing several playtest events. We are going to be doing a Kickstarter event, which is available now for you to go and sign up for to be notified when the Kickstarter goes live. And then once the Kickstarter is finished, that's when we go into early access, and that'll be for X number of months or years. And then we'll come out of that and we'll have tons of playtests to do, and then the game will be released, and then everybody will have a game that they've all helped make as the community and the developers. And it's something that's really exciting to us. It's something that we've really wanted to do for a really long time, but just haven't had the capacity to do it and haven't had the experience with a lot of the related games that we wanted to do to build up to that. And so Ambulance Life is definitely a passion of ours. Police Simulator was our breakout hit as a studio. And so we took everything that we learned from the 4 years of making Police Simulator and then decided to kick it up a notch. So for those who don't know, we had 2 paramedics on the game design team. So we had that medical expertise right in the game studio when we were building out what the scope of Ambulance Life was going to look like. And then a little late in development, we grabbed a bunch of medical advisors as well, actual paramedics and EMTs in the field who could help shape what the medical realism looks like in the game. Now, of course, it is a simulation game, but it is not a one-to-one realistic scenario all the time. There are going to be situations where we've bent reality a little bit, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One of the main ones is that sometimes it's just not as fun to have in a game be a one-to-one exact replica of real life. Sometimes you have to make it a little more engaging. An example of that is when, for example, a paramedic would never run into a burning building to try and get patients to then treat them. In our game, you do that because it's really exciting as a player to do that. And it gave us a lot of flexibility in doing some really outlandish stuff that we thought was pretty climactic and fun. And so it upped the ante and it increased the player engagement. So that's somewhere where we bent reality to our whim. Another situation is maybe something that just landed on the cutting room floor, something that maybe didn't make because we couldn't perfect it in the time that we had. We didn't have the budget to build out the thing that we wanted to do. Or sometimes it's just things like, you know what, let's worry about the success of the game first. Let's make it as perfect as we can. And then if there's really great success with the game, then we can continue to add all this other stuff afterwards. And so a lot of that is stuff that's on our wish list, stuff that we would love to tackle when and if the time comes where we have the budget again to go right back into it and start building out the stuff that we've had on the wish list for a while now. And who knows, with the stuff that you guys are going to be experiencing with the demo and with the actual full retail release, which is coming so soon. I'm so excited to finally have a date for that. I think what's really exciting about that is seeing what you guys think of the game. Maybe what's on our wish list isn't actually a priority for you guys, the players. And so it helps us reevaluate where our priorities are, where yours are, and see where we can align on that. So there you go. That's everything about Aesir. That's everything about me, and that's everything about our studio and the game. So let me catch back up on chat, and then we're going to go over the news from today, and then we'll go right into the game. How's that sound, you guys? Okay. What's the demo like? Full game, but without the extras? So you've probably already noticed by now, people who have been playing the demo, it is a chunky demo. It's like 61 gigabytes. And the reason for that is because the systems that are built into the game didn't really allow us to separate too much away from that. Like, for example, the textures that make up the buildings and the nature and the foliage around the first district are also in other parts of the game. And so therefore, if you've already built out those textures in one part of the game, it's the same textures that are in throughout the rest of the game, whether it's, you know, buildings that are reused or trees that are just inherently around that area as a species. So a lot of it you can't pull out because it already exists in the first place. And then there's also the really detailed systems underneath, like the callout system, which is, it's throughout the entire game. You can't just take pieces out of that because then suddenly the system doesn't work anymore. You have to have all of it and then gatekeep some of it away to give the players the full experience for a 45 minutes to an hour gameplay experience, if that makes sense. The game is coming in February. Too far to think of. February 6th. February 6th, the official release date, everyone. All right, let's see. Annie Vieira, hello, welcome in. What are the best settings for the demo? Let's do that first. So there's a couple of things to keep in mind. So when we're going in here, I'm running on a very, very chunky system. Like, my system is extremely powerful. I just recently built it. So I'm running on a monitor that is 1440p. I'm currently running in borderless full screen, so I can easily tab out if I have to deal with something in chat. But normally running in full screen is best, because that means that your desktop is only rendering the game and not anything behind the game. When you do windowed mode, it also has to render the desktop as well as the game. So that puts more stress on the actual game and your GPU as well. If you have an NVIDIA card, we recommend for now turning off ray tracing. That'll help improve performance significantly alone by itself. For anti-aliasing, if you have an NVIDIA card, we absolutely recommend DLSS. That helps significantly as well. If you have VSync turned on, do turn that off. That's usually not a good idea for most games. And then I've run everything on low, but I put visual effects on ultra. I'm running at about 110 FPS right now, which is not the norm. Again, I have a very chunky system. But if you can get it as close to 60 FPS as possible, you're in good. We've built this game, the final release, to be about 30 FPS on consoles. And the reason for that is because Unreal Engine 5 is an extremely resource-heavy engine. Notoriously, throughout the industry, it's a very common feature of Unreal Engine 5. It is extremely robust, and it helps developers build out some of the most intense worlds that exist in gaming today. But it is extremely demanding on a lot of systems. Even high-end systems can sometimes have problems if the optimization isn't just right. Motion blur, I prefer to turn that off, but it does help smooth the game out a little bit. So if it does not make you sick when you're whipping around doing, 180s on intersections, motion blur might help you a lot. Yeah, so those are the best settings I'm running at. Another thing you can do is you can run it at a slightly lower resolution. So I could run this at 1080p, for example, and it would look significantly worse because it's not the native resolution of my monitor, but my FPS would probably double. I'd probably be running it probably like 150 or 200 frames if I had to guess. And you can also mess with resolution scaling as well. So instead of being at 100% resolution, which would be 1440p for me, you can force it down to 1/3 of that, and that cuts down significantly on what the actual scaling of the resolution looks like. So there you go. So there's some of the best settings. One thing to keep in mind too, when you very first open the game and the demo, the game does all this compiling of shaders. That takes a very long time for some systems. It depends on the system, and it's a very specific thing that Unreal does. But once they're loaded in, all the textures are in, all the animations are in, all of that is done. You don't have to do it again. Even if you uninstall and reinstall the game, essentially that's really already done for your system, and you're good to go. So the first time you load the game is going to be significantly longer. Every other time after that, whether or not you crash, you leave, you Alt F4, you restart your computer, all of that is saved in there, and you're good to go. So that's something to keep in mind too. Like, you caused chaos in Brighton City. We're not going to talk about that, Isaiah. Thank you very much. Nothing much happening here. For sale, it is on pre-order today. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. It's the best simulator I've ever played. Durpro, thank you so much for that. And team was super delighted when I told them. Indeed, they're so happy. They've been so stressed out, you guys. You have no idea how excited they were, but also scared for this because they really want this to do well. And so they're just really happy to get into your hands, and so am I. Will the developers fix Troy's sunglasses if it's broken? No, they will not. I actually just took sunglasses out of my my backpack the other day, and they were in half for no reason. I haven't even used them in like a month. I took them out and they were just in 3 pieces. Nothing I can do about that. Karma, I know. Add Arabic language. QTR, it's something that is definitely on our flag. Quite a few people online have mentioned it as well. So for those who don't know, the game itself is entirely in English for all spoken dialogue. And then, of course, there's English subtitles and then English UI, which you can see on the screen in a moment. But besides that, there's, I think, 13 different languages that are included for localization purposes. The spoken dialogue is still all in English, but subtitles and UI changes are all in, they're in French, they're in German, Italian, Portuguese, Chinese, Japanese, quite a few, Korean as well, and a few that I don't remember offhand. Arabic is not one of them, but it's something that is being asked for quite a bit online. So it's something that I have ran up the flagpole with the team. It's expensive to do because you have to contract really an agency to do all the work properly for you guys. So I don't know exactly when or if it'll happen, but it's something that is on our radar. So thank you, QTR, for bringing that up. Is there Acer in the USA as well? Nope. It is just me. I think there's two other Americans. I think one's in Texas. I'm in California. Okay, we got this. Hi, Shane. Welcome on in. Troy rant. Yes, I did have a little bit of a rant. Hi, Jimmy. Yes, G41st. I am indeed American, unfortunately. Madness. I thought it was a purely German company. Yeah, I talked a little bit about that. I just want to see the ambulances and the siren packs. Yes, we will talk about that. What's a Kickstarter? So a Kickstarter is a fundraising campaign, a crowdsourcing, where we essentially say like, hey, we're trying to raise, you know, $100,000 to fund our game. Here are the different things that we're trying to hit. These are the different milestones. For every milestone we hit, everybody who has funded the game will get some extra content. You get usually like the game is early, or you get it for a steeper discount or things like that. And it helps us build the game that everybody wants to see. And so all of the money that comes out of the Kickstarter is going to go directly into the fund for continuing to build out the game and just make it an even bigger and more badass game than we originally started with. That's it. Max, I'll be playing in just a short minute. I just want to catch up on chat, everybody here, because I don't want anyone to feel left out. Hopefully it'll be a fast response car too, like a Chevy Tahoe type thing. So in the game, there are 3 different vehicles you can unlock. One is of course, the American bus that everybody knows and loves. That's you've seen in all the recent videos and trailers. In the earlier trailers, we've also seen the European Sprinter van, the Mercedes-Benz. And then the third one is one that you guys will have to find out on your own. But there are 3, and they drive slightly differently. So you can find one that fits your style, or one that you just think cosmetically looks better. But, you know, one might drive a little differently. One might have tighter steering. One might have more responsive brakes. It's up to you which one you end up playing. You'll unlock all 3 over time through the progression system, which we'll talk about a little bit too. I help from fans with money. That's exactly right. Can you like die in it? No, you cannot. You cannot die in the game. Anytime you like fatally crash a vehicle, it restarts you at that checkpoint. You lose everything in that shift and you start over. What's the content in the demo? We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Evening all, welcome to Gaming Hive. Welcome on in. Is the demo the exact same time, or are calls different? They are different, and we will talk about that as well. Very exciting stuff. How many gigabytes is the full game? It is 61 gigabytes. Can a patient die to our perfect no performance? Yes. You can absolutely directly affect your patients, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well with player agency. It will be in February. We still have the rest of the month in January. Yes, it's about 7 weeks away. There are different outcomes. Yes. So will there be different early access after the demo for the full release next year? So there's not going to be early access. We are releasing full retail on February 6th. And it'll be a simultaneous release on PC, Steam, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series SX. Turn on DLSS, you can knock everything up to ultra, I found. Yeah, that's probably really true. I am streaming it though, Gaming Hive, so I'm not going to risk it here on the stream. I'm running at about 110 frames per second, which is totally fine for me. My monitor can do 360, but I know that I can't get the game to 360, so I'm fine with 110. Can you show your settings? Yes, I will, Vince. I'm going to show everybody the settings in a sec. UE5 is going to force everybody to upgrade the more games to use it. Yes, the games are going to get bigger. People want the games to be smaller, but unless it's like a small indie title, like say, I don't know, like Undertale, or Animal Well, which is like 200 megabytes, like they don't get any smaller than that. But besides that, yes, I think the games are going to get bigger and they're going to become more demanding, and consoles are going to have to evolve, different than just being a static system for 7 straight years. I think we're going to see a change in that in the industry for sure. 30 FPS, ew. It honestly doesn't feel bad. And that's coming from somebody, like I said, who has a 360 FPS monitor. Like the way the game runs doesn't feel bad at 30 at all. It feels very smooth, because if you think about it, movies are 24. Movies are 24 FPS. That's what movies and shows are based off of. They just up it when they're filming so that they can release a 4K Blu-ray that is like, you know, 120 or higher. But everything is usually filmed in 24, so it's not that bad. For us gamers, it feels like the end of the world, but it feels really good on PlayStation and Xbox. I can promise that right now. How can you drive so smoothly in game besides straight crashing the ambulance? Yeah, we don't talk about that. We're gonna talk about that a lot. Bye, catch up. Good luck in your test. What's the best resolution scaling? So that is going to be dependent on your system. Pre-ordering tomorrow, Gaming Hive. Thank you so much. All right, let's hop over to the actual game itself. So I'm going to show my settings here. So the resolution scaling, I have, resolution itself, I have at 1440p. I am running it borderless full screen right now, but I recommend full screen for sure. I recommend having VSync turned off. Your quality preset, I would set to low first, and then you can go manually change things up if you want. Colorblind mode, of course, if you need it, absolutely use it. Hardware ray tracing, I would recommend turning that off for the demo at the very least. That'll help significantly increase the performance on your system. DLSS, if you do have an NVIDIA card, I highly recommend that. This is the resolution scaling. Because I'm in borderless full screen, I can't change the scaling, but if I was in full screen, it would give me the option to do so. So you can run at your full resolution, but you can tone down what the actual scale of it is and make it actually feel like a 720p game, but it's actually running full res in the background. And that helps you with a little bit of the texturing and stuff like that. I have visual effects on ultra. Everything else is pretty much on low. I have motion blur turned off because I prefer that in games, but it does feel a little smooth. If you don't get motion sick with motion blur, it's not that bad compared to some games. But it also kind of depends on how you drive and like how fast you're moving. But it does make the game feel a little more cinematic and a little more smooth. It cuts off some of those jagged turns if you do anything really quick that that might exceed what the game is expecting. And yeah, NVIDIA Reflex on. So those are the settings that I use for this. And again, I'm streaming, so that's really highly intensive resource handling right there. And then the game itself. So if I can run this while streaming, this will give you guys a pretty good shot. And again, remember that the shaders have to load full when you first load up the game. So sometimes the first mission or two might be really sluggish. I recommend doing stuff you wouldn't normally do. Crash into buildings, crash into cars, because that'll help load those textures in faster. And then as soon as they're all done, you don't have to deal with them anymore. That first load is always the hardest. You did not miss anything, Buffalo. You are just in time for us to get started. Patrol Sim I never clicked with, but this is going to do really well, I think. I think so too. Patrol Sim is definitely aged. I mean, it's at this point a 4-year-old game. Not a lot of simulators go on for 4 years alone. But we did our best to try and address a lot of the issues that people were having with the game. It's a lot better state now than it was 4 years ago. That's for damn sure. But there's only so much you can do with the code that already exists in the game. Sometimes it's better to start fresh and take what you did know and move on with a new team onto Ambulance Life. We still have content for Police Simulator. We're still supporting it. But we're getting to a point now where there's just not a whole lot of major stuff that we can do without like overhauling the game. And that's like a 2-year project. So it doesn't really make sense. So we're doing everything that we can with PSPO, and we're taking everything we learned. And the team at Ambulance Life is doing some really amazing stuff. Once we see the city, I think you guys will be like, wow, this is way different than Brighton was. Work got crazy this morning. So happy I didn't miss anything. Yeah, work's been crazy for me too. In my first missions I played in the demo, it feels like some push of action in the first missions. I felt a bit, wow, what do I do now? And I would like to ask, if the game is in full version, is this the same in the first missions, or is there a bit slower pace of action before it becomes more stress? A little bit of yes, a little bit of no, Cassiopeia. It kind of sort of depends, because the callout system, which we're going to talk about while we're playing through it, is quite varied. And it's a little bit of generative, where it never feels the same way twice. For example, you could get a call out for a homeless person has been injured. Okay, that's the call out. There's only 17 call outs in the game, really. That's one of the call outs. But you have no idea what that call out is going to turn into. It could be a heart attack. It could be extreme weather conditions. It could be a car accident. It could be a mugging. It could be they were stabbed. It could be an alcohol overconsumption. It could be drug abuse. It could be any number of things, and you don't know till you get there and actually investigate the scene and perform anamnesis on your actual patients and see exactly what's going on. And then that is going to be what's different every single time. It's never going to feel like the same call out. You'll get the same trigger, but when you get there, it's going to be different every single time. So yes and no. It kind of depends on how the game wants to treat you, Cassiopeia. But at the same time, as long as you're doing the bare basics, where you're checking vitals, You're taking care of the things that need to immediately be considered, like maybe, you know, venous bleeding or arterial spray. Those things have to be addressed right away, and then you can immediately bring to the hospital. You don't have to do everything every single time. You're just graded on how well you did, which we'll also talk about. So is there a way to have it run close to 60 FPS on PS5, or is that not even a possibility? I think it's not possible because there are very stringent guidelines on what you can and cannot change in the settings for console games. And that's because all the console platform makers want you to have a consistent experience across the board. They want to make sure that everyone that has a PS5 has the same experience with this game. So they don't want to do things that would otherwise alter that consistency. They would rather err on the side of caution and make sure that everybody has a steady 30 FPS experience than people that are constantly fluctuating between 45 and 60. That's really the big difference. And I think you're going to see a difference maybe in like a PS5 versus a PS5 Pro. You might see a little bit of a jump, but I think it's going to be hard capped at 30 just so that everything else has a chance to catch up. Your FPS might be capped, but everything else might look better, if that makes sense. You'll have, you know, you'll have a little bit of ray tracing potentially. You'll have, you know, God rays coming through in specific angles. You might have better textures. You might have slightly better, you know, reactive physics, things like that. Big tip: when driving around the sirens and lights, watch out for the foolish NPCs to step out in front of you. Immediate game over if you hit them. Yes, we are going to do that on purpose for sure. Troy speaks English. I don't know if he knows any of the languages. I speak a little bit of German, a tiny bit. Ein bisschen. Hope my message is not visible. I disabled VPN now. It looks like the message is not sent. Sorry if it was for repost. Okay, so I only saw it once. So if you sent it multiple times, it only came up once, Cassiopeia. You are all good. How can you do a crazy tracheostomy in the game? They asked, but I don't know how. You're not able to do it yet. So even early in the game, whether it's the demo or the full game, you are going to get callouts you will not be able to do 100% of the tasks for because you may not have unlocked those tools or those symptoms yet. So you'll have to do the best that you can with what you have, because your job as the paramedic is never to cure and save everybody. You need to stabilize as many patients as possible and deliver them, transport them as efficiently and safely as possible. That's your job. End all. Will there be 12 leads? So we haven't gotten that deep into it, but there is an EKG system, and it does reflect what their live vitals are. 7 weeks, not on a Nintendo Switch. No, the Nintendo Switch could not handle how convoluted and detailed this game is. It was just too demanding for the Switch. Troy, you are so nice. I appreciate that, Vince. I just try to be the best that I can. I really want to see how Troy can drive in the ambulance after he crashes a lot in Police Simulator. I will say the driving is a lot better in Ambulance Life. Going back to Police Simulator, I really hate that I can't drift. I love drifting in this game. I'm going to do it all the time. You guys are going to see it constantly. If you're a PC user, install into an SSD and not a normal HDD. I made that mistake. That is common. Yup, SSDs definitely are better for running all the textures that run behind the scenes in Unreal, for sure. How much improvements optimization is there still on the table to make it easier to run on computers more smoothly? Yes, Hellboy, that is the thing that we are working on actively. So this demo, we know that there were going to be problems when we released it. And that's not to say that we did it on purpose because we wanted to screw you guys over. It was kind of an impromptu gift we wanted to give you guys because you guys have been so patient for the whole year. I mean, really like 380 days since we announced that the game was coming out. And there's been very little content to show because we've just been so heads down, tunnel visioned on getting this game out. And so right before the holiday season, we decided to throw up a demo to see if it would pass testing through any of the services. Steam did end up certifying it and said like, yeah, this is good enough to put it as a demo if you really want to do it. So we said, screw it, let's do it. Let's put it live. And so we had some doubts about whether or not it was going to be too much stress for people. You know, they were going to be really frustrated they weren't going to play it. But we thought something is better than nothing at this stage, where people who can play it or people who can stream it will be able to share the experience with other people, like what I'm doing today. And so that said, there are some things like these settings that we're going through right now that will help people make the system a little more stable for them. And for people who are just under that cusp of what the recommended settings might be, we are working on a patch to help improve and smooth out some of the optimization for people that are currently having trouble in the game. So people who are getting it to run fine should be able to run it even better. And people who are just on that cusp should be able to get by just enough to be able to play it. That's our hope. And a lot of that's going to be based on the feedback that you guys are all giving. So please, if you are in our Discord, please make sure that you're posting all of your feedback into the actual Discord server, the demo feedback channel. That'll help. We're going to be collecting that, and that'll help us inform what's going to be in that patch that comes out and make it as smooth as we can for you guys. So yes, The game itself is already more optimized than the demo is, if that gives you any sort of an indication of where the game is at. We have 7 whole weeks to be able to put as much as we can into that with whatever day one patches that come out for that as well. So yes, we are constantly working on the game. This is not the end all be all. This is just a small taste of what you can expect from the actual final game. That's it. Joke's on you, Smoker. I'm not in a chair. I'm standing. See? When will it come out for Xbox? I'm dying to play this game for EMT College. Future EMT 123. Love the name. Love that. The game is coming out February 6th, 2025. About 7 short weeks away. And it'll be fully available on all the systems it's coming out for. Hi, Troy. Hi, D-Bush. Cassiopeia, Troy's the best. Thank you a lot. You're very welcome. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all. On console, do you think it would make a difference if the full game is installed on the default internal storage or an added on M2 SSD? It depends on which one's faster. M2 is probably going to be faster, unless the default internal storage is also an M2, which sometimes it is because that's just what they start with. So it's up to you. Can you see the game through your glasses? Yes. So these actually aren't sunglasses. They're just like blue light filter block glasses. So they just help, they zoom in a little bit for me and they help block out some of the migraine causing white lights, which is nice. Can you change your character a little bit more in the full version or like in the demo, choose from the list like Nez? It's going to be the same as it is now. So there's 8 paramedics you can choose from. They don't have any different qualities except for what they look like and what their background information is. They're all brand new paramedics. They just got their license and you're going to be bringing them from level 0 all the way to the top level and unlocking their progressive career throughout the game. So there won't be any character customization up front. This demo is really good and fun. Invisible Purple, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you're not having too many issues with it. Steam won't go to my wish list so I can download the demo. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. All right, chat. What do you say we hop into the game? Yeah. Let me turn on my controller, make sure it works. You can play this without a controller. I just prefer a controller because that's how I've played all of our games. I'm going to do a new game. All right, who are we picking, chat? We're going to do Angela Johnson. We're going to do Natalie Flores, Jeremy Hall, Jill Sampson, Liam Bayar, Mateo Hernandez, Elijah Davis, or Stella Lee. What do we think, chat? What do we think? I don't know. I feel kind of nerdy. Should I be Jeremy today? Natalia? We can do Natalia. Natalia's cute. I love the multiple characters. I'm like a little kid in a candy store right now. I know. First of all, Natalia's like super cute the way she's posed. I kind of want to. I don't want to pick Angela because I like when she's my NPC partner. I don't know why. She just has like a mothering voice to me. I love it. Davis, because you're a male. Well, 2 people said Davis, so I guess we're going for Elijah. Yeah. You cannot miss. This is a person whose career you are making from the beginning. We even have their address right on screen. So Elijah Davis is a laid-back, charming paramedic in his early 30s with an athletic yet casual look. He's genuinely kind and respects his elders, bringing a mix of cool vibes and traditional values to his team. Love that. Love that. Okay, we're going to do Elijah Davis. A couple people said Elijah, so we're going to go with that. You look like Elijah. Do you think so? You got to do the Elijah pose? You can't see my second arm, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it. How's that? It's almost like the Rizzler pose. I don't know if I appreciate that. Okay. So there are 2 different game mode options. There is the casual, which is recommended for people who aren't familiar with the game already, or perhaps aren't as familiar with simulation experiences, or just want some extra training wheels. There's some really cool bonuses that I'm going to show you. We're going to play this mode. There's also simulation mode, which is for experienced simulation players or people who are already really familiar with the game itself. There's very little guidance when it comes to actually knowing what's going on with your patients and what to do next. And there's no treatment suggestions. So there's no like, hey, maybe you should give some morphine because this guy's in a lot of pain. There's none of that. You are on your own, and we'll show you how you would deal with that if you choose that mode. But we're going to go ahead with classic. And for those who are streaming or for people who are just triggered by nudity, you have the option of turning nudity off right at the beginning here. So we're going to say, we're going to display nudity. We're going to have that off just for the sake of Twitch chat today. 1 terabyte NVMe. Oh yeah, it's probably fine, Isaiah. An SSD at all is really fast anyway.
Welcome to San Pelicano. This place is home to some of the world's finest EMTs, and you are about to join us. Let's get started. You've been assigned to downtown. It's busy and chaotic, but this is where we excel. Your job? Respond to emergency calls all over the district. Stabilize patients in need and transport them safely to a nearby hospital. Remember, it's not just about speed. It's about making the right decisions under pressure. Lives depend on it. The faster you learn, the sooner you'll get the critical cases. Stay sharp and always be ready. Now get out there and make a difference. Show San Pelicano what you are made of. We're counting on you.
Yes, the game is audio localized as well. That was a real person. That is actually one of the folks at Aesir who did the voice acting for that opening cinematic. Everybody give it big thumbs up to Jackie. She's wonderful. She nailed that opening for sure.
Ah, here's our new paramedic. It's nice to meet you. I'll be overseeing your training today. Hop in the ambulance, and we'll wait for our first assignment from dispatch.
Because my resolution scaling is so low, everyone looks so fuzzy.
It always shows you where the ambulance is located.
Okay, how is the sound, guys? How is their voice compared to mine? Do I need to turn it up? Do I need to turn it down? We'll get a little more voice here as well. Turn it up a smidge? Sure, okay.
152, you are needed at the scene of an accident.
Electrified hair, I know. It's because it's fuzzy, so it looks like it's like disconnected.
Downtown Pelican and is in need of assistance. Over.
152, Roger. Heading out.
Okay, let me change my audio settings so I can crank it up for you guys without blasting myself out. I'm gonna run it to about here.
You want to see our complete route.
Okay, how does that sound, guys? So you can make waypoints anywhere on the map. It can be any single direction you want, whether it's, you know, the hospital for this district, or you want to go to a specific area. You're like, oh, I want to see what the Emporium looks like. You can do whatever you want. But for our purposes, we're going straight to the 911 call. We picked a good time.
No one will notice that. Drive swiftly and safely to the location marked on your map. Use the siren as needed.
Before we go, I want to show you some of the destructible environments.
No one will notice that.
No one will notice that.
Hey, keep your eyes open.
Oops, I hit a fire hydrant. Whoopsies! There you go. So there's a lot of that in the game as well.
Keep your eyes open.
Chill, Angela. This is all part of the course. This is all par for the course. Has to be done. Once you have your sirens on, they will try to make an emergency lane out of your way. Not everybody follows the law, and not everybody is as considerate in the car, which is just the same as real life. There are lots of things that were put in the game to challenge players. You could drive over the cones. I was so scared of hitting them. I just sat in traffic. You can do whatever you want, wild monkeys. You can do whatever you want. A lot of the challenges that were put in the game were there on purpose. So you'll have traffic that shows up out of nowhere. You will have pedestrians that are trying to jump in front of you because they don't value their own lives.
We've arrived. Let's assess the situation.
I'm going to turn around because I already know I have to pull out the same way.
Looks like this is our patient. They appear to be conscious.
Barely.
Before we begin treatment, we should ask the patient a set of relevant questions about their person and medical conditions. This is called anamnesis. Try to retrieve as much information as possible. The more we know, the better we can help.
Bet. Ma'am, if you need help, blink twice.
My whole body is aching.
Well, that's not helpful, is it? Can you tell me what happened? So this is the first part. This is the first part of anamnesis, or like, you know, the observation stage. You're asking them questions about, hey, can you tell me what happened? Has this ever happened before? Do you have any pre-existing conditions? Are you on any medications at the time? And sometimes they'll be situational. You'll see that in some of the missions we have coming up. You'll have situations where there's a specific thing you can ask because of the situation that that person's involved in. Sometimes you're just scolding the patient, which is the funniest thing to me.
I suddenly heard this ringing noise in my ears and felt dizzy. I sat down and called for help.
All right, let's see. Can you tell me what happened?
I suddenly heard this ringing noise in my ears.
Take a
Same
moment
one.
to further inspect the patient.
Dizzy. I
You
sat
might
down
find
and
some more
called for
evidence
help.
while inspecting different body parts.
So this is when we can do the actual observation phase. And so this is where you're directly looking at them. You're doing a focus mode. And you're investigating every individual piece of their body to see if there's anything that you can notice by observing them. I mean, realistically, this is like you're actually like you're palpitating them. You're you know, bending an arm or things like that.
We've
But
received new information about the patient. I already made a note inside the patient protocol.
we're pretending that we've already done that. So
This is where we collect all relevant information about the patient and mark down newly discovered pieces of evidence. Take a look at it now.
So one thing that I want to show you here is this particular scene has something else that we can investigate on the ground. Sometimes that can give you extra clues. Like, for example, if somebody is feeling jittery or they're having like a panic attack, you can investigate that there's a cup on the ground. Maybe they had too much caffeine. That's something that you can take into your mind's eye when you're thinking about what this diagnosis could be and what the ultimate treatment would be. In this instance, when I hovered over it, it said there were no additional clues found. So it's not relevant in this situation, but sometimes it can be. So it's important to collect as much information as you possibly can and then do the right things with that information that you have. So this is the patient protocol tablet. This is essentially your lifeline to how your patient is doing. So all the information that you collect is now shown as either situational evidence or something that you examined directly with the patient themselves. So in our situation, there weren't any physical injuries. You can see that she seems restless. She seems stressed out. She feels nauseous. She looks a bit confused. So now what we're going to do, we don't have any
These
vitals.
are the pieces of evidence
We don't have any
you
information.
discovered during anamnesis and inspection. For each patient, you will have to make an informed assessment on what could be the underlying cause responsible for the emergency based on the collected evidence. This patient does not appear to be in any immediate danger. Choose a category and an interim diagnosis that fits the evidence.
So now we have different categories that it could
Your
be.
interim diagnosis can always be adjusted during treatment. Let's go back to our patient now.
Now this situational, because of the information that we have, the tablet is like, this is most likely a neuropsychiatric issue, right? So out of all the different, like the complicated formulas behind the scenes are telling us that with everything that we do know, this is really what it's pointing towards. This is your most likely source. Sometimes you'll have two sources that are both 17 or both 20 or both 5, and you'll have to make an educated guess. Sometimes as you started your treatment, that'll change. And then with the interim diagnosis, which can change over time depending on what we do and when treatment starts, it still looks like it's extreme stress. There's a possibility that it could be a panic attack, but it's most likely just extreme stress. So we're going to select that for now. And when we do that, it shows you how many of the symptoms or evidence we've discovered this category and diagnoses covers. There will be situations where a diagnosis will not cover everything, and different diagnoses could cover different parts of it. So you just have to make an educated decision on what you know and what you think it could be. It could be that you're covering all of these symptoms, but you're leaving arterial bleeding alone. That's kind of the most important thing. You should probably handle that immediately, and maybe the other stuff isn't covered on time, but it can be dealt with when they actually get to the hospital.
Good. Let's put the patient on the stretcher and continue treatment inside the ambulance. First, we need to assess the patient's vitals in more detail. This can only be done inside the ambulance.
All right, so we're going to prop them into the ambulance. Now we can start treatment. And this is where the
For
real
now,
fun begins.
there are 3 key vitals we should worry about: oxygen saturation, heart rate, and blood pressure. To measure both oxygen saturation and heart rate, attach the oximeter's clip on the patient's finger. Diagnostic tools will then provide you with live readouts of the patient's vitals.
All right, so now we're going to pull up all the different tools that we have unlocked at this point. So we have different categories of tools that do different things. The vitals and bandages and thermostat are towards the bottom here. And then as we start going up, we've got respiratory tools to deal with respiratory issues. We've got vascular issues. So we're making a vascular access, or we're doing CPR. And then these are all the medications at the very top. And these, of course, will start getting more robust and built out as you unlock things. Of course, for the tutorial, it's going to tell us exactly what we need to do right now.
It's much better.
Oh, just getting her inside the ambulance has warmed her up a little bit. So we're going to pick which arm we want to use this blood oximeter on.
Next up, try attaching the blood pressure cuffs to the patient's upper arm. It will provide you with information about the patient's blood pressure.
All right, so now we're going to pull the next tool, which is the blood pressure cuff. I'm going to do it on the other arm just for the sake of argument, so you can see how much variability there is when you're using tools. Oh yeah, definitely, Tony.
Vitals
I will.
are displayed in more detail inside the patient protocol. Feel free to take a look.
So now we have the actual vitals here. If we have multiple patients, we can cycle through them with the shoulder pads here. For right now, O2 is not reading, but her heart rate is a little elevated, but it's steady. So there's nothing more that we can do with what we have. So we're going to back out and we're going to transport to the hospital. Yes, I'll go over bandaging. We'll definitely have instances where we got to use bandaging. That was a really up close image of Elijah. That was like, hello, sir. How are you? All right, so now we've got to make our way to the nearest hospital, which is right in the center of this district.
All vitals seem to be within their normal range, but this patient is clearly unwell. Let's take this one to the nearest hospital, just to be safe. I will monitor the patient during transport, while you drive us to the closest hospital. The patient seems to be stable, so no need to rush.
I love drifting. And of course, you can not follow the GPS exactly, like if you decide you want to take a shortcut, which I'll show you in a little bit. Or if you, let's say, for example, I want to go this way. It'll readjust like a GPS does. It'll say, okay, well, you'll take this left up here. However, these people, there's only one lane, so they're not really going to move that much out of the way. So I'm going to be a little crazy just to get past this traffic. Most of the time, people will jump out of your way. Sometimes people will jump in your way. So you have to be careful. In this very first mode, the tutorial mission, you don't have any immediate issues with like hitting pedestrians. You can drive through them. After this, however, once you go into a real mission, that's when all of your penalties can happen. I'm going to go around. We're going to take a left up here. I love this music. This music's so hype. Whee! Excuse me. Excuse me.
Please
Excuse
drive
me.
more carefully. Think of our patient.
Excuse me. We're good. We're good, chat. Nothing to see here. We're good.
Please drive more
Excuse me.
carefully.
Excuse
Think
me.
of our patient.
Nailed it. So like I said, there's no penalties in the tutorial mission. I hit the stop sign every single time.
Hey, keep your eyes open. We've arrived.
You saw that, right?
Let's
That
unload
one
the
actually
patient.
wasn't my fault. You saw that, right?
Let me see. We take over from here.
Nice job. This concludes our first call out together. If you need a reminder on anything, you can always check your handbook. All relevant information can be found there.
Okay. Now with the handbook, I'm going to show you exactly how you would do simulation mode, because when you're doing the classic game mode, you could see it was telling you, well,
Shift's
this
over, remember?
most likely this, but it could be this. This is the most likely diagnosis. That disappears when you're on simulation mode. You are on your own. And so this guide is going to be your Bible when you're dealing with the actual symptoms on the fly. So this is the first tab, is just all the basic, like, you know, what is scoring? What is the patient protocol? What is, what are the different gain modes? But once you get into the conditions, these are all the different things that can present with a broken limb or with cardiac arrest.
Calling louder than dispatch.
And so these
Let's
are
return to HQ.
the evidences that you'll see aren't not always going to show up every single time, but it's usually going to be some combination of these things. And it could be masking something bigger or something different that's happening in the backside. And so these are all the interventions that you have: neck braces, oxygen mask. These are the different ways of checking your vitals.
For a joyride?
And then
just drop me at HQ.
Your
already.
evidences. Those are all your evidences that you can find in the environment, whether it's, you know, bloody pliers, or you can see an environmental hazard, something like that. I know she does. I know she does. Okay, so this is the progression system. This is about the amount that you unlock for the demo. So we have 3 new callouts that we'll have access to, which is a car crash, a house fire, and a stress attack. And on the right-hand side here, I'm going to expand the details. This is what has been already unlocked in this district. So out of the 7 possible XP checkpoints that you have, these are the things that we've unlocked so far. So we have a patient that's mute, a patient that might have hyperventilation, maybe a broken limb. But we also have bandages. We have ketamine, lorazepam, neck brace. We have morphine, a saline solution. These are all different things that you unlock, and you can see if we go further down, these are the other things that you will unlock in this particular district. So how you gain experience is basically how well you do your job. In Police Simulator, if you did something wrong or right, you knew immediately. You had an indicator in the upper right hand corner that said you get conduct points or you lose conduct points. And then by the end of it, how much experience you got was based on, you know, what you did. Those were all worth an amount of experience, and then how well you did it. It's slightly different in ambulance life, where you are graded on a multitude of factors: how quickly you responded to your call out, how thorough you were in your investigation and anamnesis of the patient, how accurate you were in your diagnosis, how accurate and efficient you were with your treatment, how efficient and quick you were to getting your patient transported to your nearest hospital. All of these factor into basically a formula that spits out a letter grade at the end for every single patient. And then that letter grade is basically how much experience you're getting, how difficult the patient was versus how well you did with them. So you can do whatever you want. There's lots of player agency where you can be a maniac and you can be like, oh, I'm just going to give somebody 17 vials of morphine and see what happens. That's going to reflect in your grade. Sorry to say. I play on casual too, Smoker. No shame in that. Is there a multiplayer mode or something? There is not. So it is going to be a single player mode. That's how it was built out initially. We wanted to make sure that we had a really stellar single player experience for players. Let's see. Let's go into here. I am going to run on full screen first, and then I'm going to mess around with some settings. Okay. Let's do ultra, but I am going to turn shadows down low. Shadows is always like really ridiculous. I'm going to try ray tracing, and we're going to see what happens, chat. Okay, I'm going to turn on FPS meter so we can actually see what we're running at. Okay. Not gonna lie, it actually runs pretty smooth. It's jagged a little bit if I make a really quick turn, but you can already see the detail in just the ambulance alone, the major differences that it had, which is pretty crazy when you really think about it. If it is really good. If it had come out in 2024, it would have been my simulated game of the year, but it might still get that for 2025. 2025 is a long year, so we'll see. But that's really awesome to hear.
Unit 152, you're needed for an urgent call. Confirm receipt, over.
Woo, look how crisp it is. I'm so glad it's running well. It's awesome.
Reported burning.
Do you think the ambulance will look that good on console? Yeah.
Possibly more. Prepare yourself for burned people with smoke inhalation.
Nice.
Location sent. Move quickly. Over.
Now there are full penalties, by the way, chat. So we have to be a little not insane. Just a little bit. Let's go in between, actually. Let's see if they will move out of the way for me, shall we? Love that. Thread the needle, thread the needle. Nice. Love that for me. I'm going to go over this barrier just because I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get to my patients.
Are you lost? Check the map.
I'm not lost, Angela. I know right where I'm going thanks to my handy dandy GPS. Yeah, I love drifting so much in this game. Thank you, devs. It's very satisfying. It is so satisfying to drift. Feels good. Feels good. All right, we're going to thread the needle. Oh. Just like in real life, these things don't have the best handling. So sometimes I bite off a little more than I can chew. But it worked out in that instance. Are you gaming with the keyboard? I am playing on a controller at the moment. Okay, so now we arrived at the scene here. Because this is a house fire, there are multiple patients that are available to me. So you can see that there's this person laying on the ground here. We've got one on the bench here. We've got one on the stairs right there. One behind the stairs. And I believe there was one more right in between here. Two here. And so we can talk to more than just the actual patients themselves. Now we have the incidence of actually talking to people that may have witnessed what happened or know people who were involved.
I didn't see what happened.
Okay, not very useful, which sometimes is the case in real life. So now we can talk to each patient.
The core of my body.
That hurts the core. That's a little dramatic. Okay, ma'am. Let's see.
I'm having trouble breathing. I think I breathed in too much smoke.
That's probably a safe bet. I would agree with that.
I lit up some candles for aromatherapy. Then this happened. They didn't cause this. I immediately fled the building when I saw the flames.
I don't know, chat. Seems a little sus. And so here's an unusual scene question that I can ask or say something specific to this situation. It seems like you got out. It seems like you got away with just a black eye compared to your mates.
Am I a coward? I just saved myself and ran.
Elijah, I don't think you're making the situation better. I'm going to be honest, dude. Do you suffer from any current or chronic health issues?
Heavily scented candles are my preferred method of treating headaches.
That's crazy. If there's like a really strong scented candle, that's going to make me have a headache or make my headache worse. That would never make my headache go away, I think. What about you, chat? Did you recently or regularly take any prescription medication?
No, I don't believe in modern medicine.
Fantastic. I'm glad I'm here for you then, ma'am. So this is something that you can do sometimes. This is an option you can unlock through your progression career, is an intervention to attempt to calm the patient by just telling them like, hey, please stay calm. You're going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. You're going to be all right.
That feels better.
It works most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't. They just don't react to it. Sometimes they're literally passed out unconscious and it doesn't even matter what you say to them. So now that we've done that, we can observe her physically. Of course, in our instance, it's, you know, visually, but same idea. I'm going to try and get a little closer for the wound here. Look at that burn wound. Woo! It's bubbling and everything. So now what I can do is I can give her a triage tag. And essentially it's like, okay, she's got bad issues with her lungs and she's got some pretty nasty cuts and burns. So I'm going to go ahead and give her, I'm probably going to do a yellow tag because there might be somebody that's worse off than her. So now she has a yellow tag on her wrist. And I can triage every single patient this way, getting as much information as possible. At the end of the day, though, I'm going to pick one because only one can fit in my ambulance.
Help! Please!
Man, nobody sounds good. They all sound awful.
My right upper arm got injured.
Yeah, it sure did. You're right about that. How can we be of assistance?
My skin feels like it's still burning.
Yeah, that'll happen with a third-degree burn.
I'm not sure how the fire started, but when I saw the flames, I checked to see if anyone else was in the building.
Very brave, but very stupid. So there's 4 different tags. Green is like they don't really need immediate assistance, or there's nothing they have is life-threatening. That's green. They're in a good state. Yellow is like, this is a little more concerning. This is something that probably needs some pretty hefty attention and quick. Red is, this person is critical. If they're not treated within X amount of minutes or seconds, they may perhaps pass. And then black is, there's already nothing we can do, or like at that point it's like palliative care, where you're just giving them morphine for the pain, but they're not going to survive, or they've already died. So those are the 4 different colors that we have. Do you know that running into a burning house is life-threatening? Thanks, Elisha.
Of course, but I know I can't let the others die.
Great paramedic, Elijah. This is why Elijah just got his license and he's brand new. Do you suffer from any current or chronic health issues?
No chronic problems.
Okay, good to know. I see coughs in my face. Did you recently or regularly take any medications?
No, didn't take any meds.
All right, let's try and calm him down a bit.
I'm starting to feel better.
Yeah, he'll take that. That's good. That's nice. Nice little medicine. Just being nice to somebody is nice. Oh, let me actually physically check him out. We did already. Let me see what he actually has. So he has a bloodstream. That's not good. I think he's gonna go ahead. Oh yeah, he has a hemorrhagic emergency. He's gonna be red. He's definitely gonna be red. Let me check hers. Yeah, she's mostly just smoke inhalation for sure. So she's still a yellow, I think. All right, anamnesis.
To the core of my body.
Yeah, it sure does. I bet. How could we be of assistance? So we're gonna run through the gamut of all 6 or 7 of these patients. I think it was 6.
I inhaled too much smoke. I lit up some candles for aromatherapy. Then this happened. They didn't cause this. Heavily. I immediately fled the building when I saw the flame method.
They must be sisters.
No, I don't believe in modern medicine. That feels better.
Glad to hear. Okay, so let's do so respiratory distress as well and smoke inhalation, but no major issues. So I put her as yellow. She does need assistance because, you know, with smoke inhalation it could really drastically affect your yeah, we gotta take care of this poor woman here. It can drastically affect your oxygen intake, which can have some really bad effects later.
Right upper leg's hurting.
All right, let's see.
It's burning. I can't look at it. Well, why can't I feel it? Shouldn't I feel it?
Oh man, she's panicked. She's panicked.
I don't know. I was asleep when a burning smell woke me up. The whole room was in flames.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna try and calm her down a little bit. I'm gonna ask her if she's on any medications.
That feels better.
And we're gonna hustle.
Trouble sleeping, but
I think this might be the person I take because she's in bad shape. So let's is there really quick.
get over here.
I was already over there. Let's see what she's got. Actually, okay, so here's an instance where it thinks that it could be 2 things equally. It could be respiratory distress. It could be a substance interaction. I'm not sure where it's getting the instance of a substance interaction, maybe based on the questions I was asking her. She's very likely in respiratory distress. It's not going to be an object in her airway. It's going to be smoke inhalation, just based on the context of the scene that I'm being called to. I'm actually going to give her, she's actually not as bad as I thought she was going to be. So I am going to go ahead and grab that patient who was, he had some bleeding, because that's somebody who needs immediate attention. Why can't you treat all patients? Why do you have to pick? Well, because you as a paramedic only have room in your ambulance for 1 person. So the way it's going to work is you're going to pick whoever you want, whether it's the least or worst off patient. And then when you leave, the idea is that somebody else is going to come and pick up the others. That's the idea. You are just the first responder as far as paramedics are concerned. And so you're going to pick the person theoretically that needs the most help immediately. That's why you're there. and then other paramedics would be picking them up later. But your focus is on the patient that you can save. Hi, Jason. Welcome on in. Glad you can make it. And early on in the game like this, there aren't major concerns with time, but there will be. You are going to have situations, you can see the red tag on his wrist here. There are going to be situations where time is of the essence, and you will get to a point where maybe you have to make a decision to who lives and who dies. Okay, so I'm actually going to do, I want to do something first. I'm going to, instead of doing the blood cuff first, I'm actually going to do the stethoscope and check his chest, because I wanted to look at his arms first. So if I place the blood pressure cuff on either of those arms, I won't be able to treat them, or I won't be able to put a bandage on them. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to bandage both arms. And this is the mini game where you have to essentially complete it. You have like a little chevron. I think of it as like a little spaceship, and you're pointing it in the direction that you want to move in, which is the direction of the spiral. And so you have to spin your controller or your mouse to match that direction. And then you hit Y. So if I turn the wrong direction, you see how much slower it goes, and it turns yellow when I'm in the right direction, right? You have a couple of tries. I think you have 3 tries before it backs out again. The only thing you're losing is time. There's no like real penalties for that. But now that I've bandaged this arm, now I can put on the blood pressure cuff, because that arm's been treated. But if I put the cuff on first, there's no way to bandage that arm if there's an issue with it. And I wouldn't want to put a blood pressure cuff on an open wound anyway, right? Okay, his arms are his legs are okay, but we're gonna do his arm. Nothing on his torso. I'm gonna zoom. Nailed it! Perfect! First try, chat. First try. Are you on the demo build? I am, Jason. This is the demo build you can download today. You can see it's a small little yellow banner in the upper right hand corner. I think it says demo. That's what you will see when you open the game as well. Okay, so his blood oxygen level is 100%, so he probably doesn't need anything. I am going to go ahead and do a vascular access though, because I'm going to give him some saline. So this is another mini game. It just goes back and forth, and you hit as close to the center as possible. It's a lot easier. Oh, look at that on the arm. I didn't even see that. There's another cut on his arm. Look at that, chat. No, that's torso. I don't want torso. I want arm. Oh, it's not going to let me because I put the vascular access on. I screwed myself over, chat. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to give him morphine for the pain. Morphine. Vascular access. This is where I put it, so this is where I'm going to place it. That's a deep cut, chat. I made a mistake.
I'm getting woozy.
Okay. Well, that was the wrong call, so we're going to go ahead and skedaddle.
Don't delay transport.
We're going to go right into the middle, which is going to be turning around right here. I got to be a little careful.
Please drive more carefully. Think of our patient.
Nice. Real nice. All right, I'm not going to wait. Not waiting, chat. No, sorry. I got a very sick man coughing in the back of my vehicle right now. Okay, so his BP is dropping. So we're just going to do our best to get to the hospital. We've stabilized as best as we can. His blood pressure would be better if I could have actually sealed off that wound. But because I made the mistake, not going to be able to. So now we have to do the best with what we have. I'll catch up in chat in a sec. If I turn away, I know a pedestrian is going to run in front of me, and that's the last thing I want to do right now. The entrance is right there on the left. I just got to go up to the end of the street and turn around. And I do have some civilians here I got to be careful of. I'm going to back up a little bit.
Patient's running out of time.
Oh, I know they are. Guys, BP's still dropping. All right. And there we go. Done. When the game is released and you get complicated calls like a collapsed bridge or chemical fire, do you still choose one patient? Yes, now you can't help anymore. Only hospital. There's only so much you can do with the patient. Sometimes you can fully stabilize them. Sometimes you can't. So you can see here, this is the grade that I got for this particular patient. So these are all the patients that were on the scene, and I tagged them based on what their needs were, whether they were red or yellow. And based on my tags, those seemed to be correct. And the person that I did take, which is Akifumi Cham, I got an S rating for the whole thing, but for that specific patient, I got an A. And so then, depending on what the difficulty was, you get a multiplier score, and at the end you get your total, and it can show you all the individual patients. It tells you what you got right. So my category and my diagnosis was accurate for this particular person, but there were some things that I didn't find. I found all of the key evidence, but there were 2 pieces of patient examination that I didn't catch, and it's probably because I didn't ask enough questions. Maybe I missed something while observing them. And so it shows you how well you did based on how well you could have done. And that's based on what your score ends up being. This person, these are one of the 2 people on the ground I didn't even speak to. So I got nothing for these people. And that one as well, and that one as well. And then there you go. So I found 7 out of 8 of the patient examinations, but I missed the char skin. I would have found the char skin if I had taken off that piece of clothing because I was bandaging something else near it. I would have seen the charred skin and it would have identified it. But that wasn't the patient that I took with me. So that's why. And so the total score is essentially how much experience you're going to get. And then the better you do, the more experience and stuff you unlock over time. So that's how the progression system and the grading system works, chat. Can you get a bad score for having the wrong color tag on them? Not necessarily, but it doesn't help. As close as you can to being accurate and correct and efficient is the best you're going to do. Sometimes simply bolting to the nearest hospital is good, just the right choice. Sometimes. Car accident. Let's go to a car accident, chat. So to answer your question, Invisible, there are situations of catastrophic events, which we're going to see a little glimpse of towards the end here. Spoiler alert. Oh, we're actually right near the hospital. That's nice. That's convenient. Convenient for me and convenient for the patient. So that's nice. Okay, this is going to be a little, excuse me. Oh, I didn't hit anybody. Look at that, chat. I'm the best. Thread that needle. Thread that needle, chat. Woo! Okay, so can I fit here? Not even close. Not even close, chat. I wasn't even worried. Wasn't even worried. Yeah, go ahead. Just take your time. There's no rush. It's fine. We're here for you, sir.
Check them out.
Entitlement of people, you know? Okay. We're going to go ahead and take up this intersection here because this is a woozy. Okay, so this is obviously this. You can literally see that they impacted the windshield. This is crazy. So this person is the person that was called in. Several witnesses. But we also have people that were involved in the pileup. This, by the way, is Aaron. For everybody who met him in Discord today. That's our trusty handyman, Aaron. And so you can see the chaos that this one incident caused. Now, there aren't any other patients here per se, but there may be information you can glean out of them by speaking. So we're going to go ahead and have some anamnesis. Can you tell me what happened, sir?
I don't know how to answer that. Sorry.
Okay. So now he has no idea. All right, cool. Good to know. How about you?
I don't know the answer to that. Sorry.
Nope. Okay. Neither one. Fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to talk to the person who actually did the damage. Can you tell me what happened?
I was driving onto the road and suddenly there was this crash. Is this my fault? I hope they are okay.
That sounds like a job for the Brighton Police Department to figure out exactly what happened here. My job is to make sure that there's anything else that I need to know about this patient.
There was this horrible cracking sound when they landed.
Okay, so they hit their head, obviously. I mean, like they hit their head in the windshield and now they've hit their head on the ground. They're not doing so hot, chat. They're not doing so hot. They're 0 for 10 right now. All right, let's see. Okay, let's try and talk to them.
Upper leg's hurting.
Yep, I imagine it is. So's your arm. So's your head. You're not doing too hot, lady.
I have a really nasty bruise.
think you got worse than bruises, but yes, I agree. I concur.
That car came out of nowhere. I don't remember much afterwards.
Okay. You suffer from any known health
I
issues?
haven't had any chronic illnesses.
Okay, good to know. How about medications?
No, I haven't taken any medicine.
Okay, we're doing well so far. So I'm gonna try and calm her down.
That feels better.
Nice, that's working. That's working. Okay. Okay, so now let's take a look and see what we can detect here. So definitely a hemorrhagic emergency. She's definitely bleeding. We need to take care of that right away. It's venous bleeding, which is pretty bad. And so that's going to cover a lot of it. Hematomas are really just, they're internal bleeding. They're essentially bruises. So there's nothing we can really do to treat those. Yeah, that's about as much as we can do. So let's get to the ambulance here. Now, I'll bet you that I could probably investigate the scene a little bit more and see if I could find like a broken helmet or a cell phone on the ground, something that could indicate what happened here. But I don't think that that's going to help me with actually diagnosing the patient. We have a pretty good idea what happened. There's a head injury and there's bleeding. And those are really the most important things we need to know right now. Finding the cause of the accident isn't really going to help us. We're not police. Okay. Leave that for the San Policano Police Department. We're good now. Okay, so we're going to start again with the basics. We're going to start with vitals. See what we can find here. Will the consoles get the demo before February 6th or not? It's unlikely, just because we are still optimizing the game and all that. This was kind of a surprise experience for us. So I wouldn't count on it, but I'm not going to say never, because you never know. Never, but it's not something that we're currently planning. Because we are only 7 weeks away from release. I think we'd rather spend that time actually making the game perfect for you guys. As perfect as we possibly can, you know? Okay, so far so good. Now we're going to continue with... let's check stethoscope. You never know. They're full of surprises. It's true we are. Am I done with the bicycle guy? Was nowhere to be found. I had to abort the call. That's very unusual. Invisible. Make sure you report that if you can. If you're in Discord, please drop that into the channel. That's very good information to have. Blood pressure cuff. Oh, we already put a blood pressure cuff on. We don't need two of them. We're good. Let's do bandages. Yeah, we're gonna have to bandage her thigh and her leg. I'm gonna zoom through these bandages. A lot of people thought that this is tedious. I actually really enjoy the bandages. There's something kind of peaceful about it. A lot of you who have seen me play Police Simulator know that I really like dealing with lists. So I really enjoy, like, you know, having to do things in a specific order or getting tasks checked off of a list. Like, there's something really satisfying about that to me. And this is like, oh, I have to hit 5 different areas with the right timing, and it's a slowly moving reticle. Like, yeah, I love that. That feels good. Let's do that. I actually laughed when I used the blood pressure thing and the clothes just off the body instead of rolling the pill over. Yeah. It just makes more sense because, like, dealing with animations on clothes that minute would just be such a pain in the butt. That would take, like, probably another year to actually do. Oh, I probably didn't have to put that away. I could have just done this. And you can see when it's an arm, because the arm is a lot thinner, it moves a lot faster. Torso is obviously the slowest because it has the longest distance to move. Was there something on her right arm? I don't think so. Will we get broken or dislocated injuries? You will absolutely get broken limbs for sure. I don't think you'll get dislocations, but you will get broken limbs. That's the thing. So I might as well just have done her whole leg. It's like barely anything's even covered now. Okay, her temperature's okay. Could be a little lower. I guess we'll lower a little bit. And her blood pressure's off. So let's do forearm. Oh no! No! Back out! I see it. I see it, chat. I caught it this time. I didn't catch it in time last time. Not this time, you silly game.
Don't delay transport. Let's go.
Fool me once. Shame on me. Okay. Now I think we're good. I don't think we have to do vascular access. because their blood pressure is whacked probably because of that wound. So I'm actually going to go ahead and leave, and we're going to go ahead and transport her because I think that's going to be the most efficient option at this point. I think willy-nilly giving her drugs, not going to solve anything. That's just going to make everything worse. So we're going to transport to the hospital, which was right nearby, which is really nice. Oh yeah, there's her helmet. Smashed. Awful. At least she was wearing a helmet, chat. Always wear your seatbelt. Always wear your helmets. Please. Very satisfying. You can get like really crazy speeds. Yeah, you can also flip the ambulance, by the way. I've done it once or twice. I can prove that it's a thing. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well, you can drive as reckless as you want. You can drift around every corner. You can take every single shortcut throughout the game. You can do all these different things to get there faster, but that will absolutely affect the health of your patient a lot of the time. You might have a patient that's completely stable. You've done everything you can. They're in perfect health as much as they can be on the way to the hospital, but you could do something, or they could just randomly crash out of nowhere where your patient will have they'll have to have some intervening in some kind. And your partner who's in the back seat while you're driving will ask you, hey, here are some options that we can do. Which one of these would you like me to do right now? And it could be, you know, give CPR. It could be, you know, administer morphine. It could be something in the list of tools that you have that's relevant to that situation that you'll inform them to do. But you will be graded if what you're doing is causing the person to become unstable, right? I mean, if you're driving like a psychopath after you fully stabilize the patient, maybe don't drive like a psychopath. Just saying. If they were in perfect health, they wouldn't need an ambulance. That's a true means, or you're not wrong about that. How long will the demo be available? For a week? So we don't have an exact date.
Respond, ambulance 152, priority call for ambulance 152. We have been notified.
The idea is, if the demo is well received and people are really enjoying it, we'll keep it for a little bit longer.
Acute anxiety attacks.
But we don't want to have it out for too long because we want people to be able to experience the full game. I was like, oh wow, it's right nearby. It's somewhat nearby, but I was selecting the hospital that I just drove out of, so that was not the right one. That was not the right one. Okay, here we go. So on our way here, I'm actually going to take a shortcut so I can show you what the shortcuts look like, guys. So let's first go past this area. See if there's one here. I don't know where they all are, so we're going to experiment a little. Perfect. There's one right here. So this is a field. So this is the dead end here, but I can continue around the field here. And I'm coming around the other side. Now, you can't drive through everything. Like, that's a barrier that would stop at right there. But I can go around the barrier. So if there's traffic that I had to go around, or maybe a construction site that's not normally there that was set up because of road closures, I can take some shortcuts to get to where I need to go. Looks like it's on the other side. Oh, this is a good one. Oh, I'm glad we got this one, chat. This is crazy, actually. I'm really excited you're going to see this one. So what is this? That's a bank, right? That's a bank. The call that we had was inspect location and patients, perform amnesis, apply life-saving interventions if needed. All we know is that we need to assess the situation. That's it. So it would appear that the cops did their job. How crazy is that? Look at the police just casually standing there like, yeah, no problem. We did our thing.
It hurts everywhere.
Now, this guy doesn't look like he was shot, so the police didn't shoot this guy. Maybe just basing off the situation, maybe he's under extreme stress.
I don't know. I can't catch my breath.
Okay, that tracks with extreme stress or a panic attack, right?
I was just about to leave work and then I don't know.
You don't know. Has anything like this happened to you before? That's a unique question.
No, this was the first time. What's wrong with me?
Okay, again, leaning towards more and more towards a panic attack or something.
No issues that I know of.
Okay, no chronic illnesses. Medications?
Not yet. I was thinking about some anxiety pills.
Okay, so he's a normally anxious person anyway. Let's see if I can calm him down. I'm sure that I can.
That feels better.
That weapon is not secured. Bad police. You're right. That's absolutely right. PSPO taught you well. What you wish you could do in PSPO. That would be crazy. That's a whole different game though. Like if you were like SWAT, that's crazy. This isn't patrol officers. These are heavy duty. All right, let's also inspect the ground. So we've got a laptop, we've got cell phone, we've got a cup here. Nothing else. Let's inspect him. Look at these fine looking slacks. What a gentleman. Almost there. Nothing to note yet. There it is. Rapid eye movement and looks confused. All right. Do you have anything to tell us? Do you know this person?
Will my colleague be okay?
Okay, so your colleagues. Thanks for not directly answering the question. Did you see what happened here?
I have no idea, I'm afraid.
That's a shame. It would be nice. Did anything happen to them after you called?
They are declining all help.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely like panicked. He's definitely having some kind of a stress attack for sure. So let's see what the patient protocol says. So with all the information that we have here, he seems restless, he seems stressed, he feels nauseous, he looks confused, he has rapid eye movement. It's an unusual scene. He vomited. So let's see what we got. We're gonna do neuropsychiatric for sure. And then extreme stress. Look at that, chat. Nailed it. You think I played enough of this game? So the only things that doesn't cover is the unusual scene, which doesn't really matter. That doesn't really matter that much. Looks confused isn't really related to extreme stress, but the situation that he's in, it's pretty messed up, chat. Like, it's not a normal situation to be in. So I understand. I get it, right? All right, so let's get back to the ambulance. We'll get the stretcher. We'll throw him on. And we'll see what we can do to help our dear friend here. Be faster if I go back the way I came. Go out a little bit and then push. One of the really amazing things that I love about this game, it's like wildly different from PSPO, is in Police Simulator, it was limitations in what metahumans could do. This is like you're seeing people wince in real time. You're seeing them literally react because their arm is in pain. They're holding their arm. Or they're bleeding, so they're covering the wound. There's some really cool stuff that you can do. And you can see things happening in real time, and that'll, again, help inform some of the decisions that you make based on diagnosis or treatment plans. If there are more patients, can you help them outside the ambulance, or is there only one you can take with you? So that's a really good question. There are some interventions that you can take or that you can administer before you enter the ambulance, and that affects your scoring. So for example, if there was a car accident where maybe somebody was hit by a bicycle where somebody was hit by a car, right? Maybe their leg is bleeding. There's venous or arterial bleeding that you can physically see. Either it's spurting out or it's filling up their pants or whatever. What you can do is you can apply a tourniquet. Or if it's a neck brace because, you know, they got hit by while they're on a bike, their neck is probably not in a good state. You want to make sure that their spine is stabilized as much as you can, right? So you can apply those things, and as well as bandages, before you put them onto the stretcher and bring them in the ambulance. Now, if something major like venous bleeding, you didn't block the arterial bleeding or whatever have you before you put them in the ambulance, your partner automatically does it for you, and you'll see that the tourniquet is on them in the back seat. Which is great for you because it helps you in your treatment plan, but you might be docked points on that because it's not something that you did or thought to do in the moment. And because Smoker asked, I think I can do it after the fact. Let me see. I can. So you can absolutely talk to the police. Can you tell me what happened?
They are declining all help.
That's true. You've both said that. So yes, you can. You can absolutely talk to some of the first responders on the scene. They might not always be helpful, but sometimes they will. There could be an instance where like, well, my colleague is going, oh, this man's passed out. All right, we gotta hustle. He's not feeling good, chat. He's not feeling good at all. Look at the pores. Like, look at the pores on the skin, chat. That's crazy. That's so good looking. So you can see the recommended interventions are on the left there. Based on what I know, these are the things that they recommend I should be doing. I'm doing this without even thinking about it. I'm just going through the motions. Blood oxygen is fine. Heart rate's elevated. I don't think he has any wounds. Honestly, chat, that's like as much as I can do. And optional is administer an O2 mask. I don't think he needs it. His O2 level is 100%. He's fine. His heart rate's elevated, but that's because he's panicked, you know? So like I could maybe give him like some lorazepam, but that's going to crank his heart rate a little bit more anyway. And his heart rate's already pretty elevated. So we're going to chill. We're going to chill. We're going to go straight to the nearest hospital. And now you can see my next recommended action is to just simply admit the patient to the hospital. That's all that's left to do now at this stage. I'm going to try and drive a little nuts here and see maybe if I can cause the patient to become unstable a little bit. I can't always do it, but I'm going to try. I can't outwardly crash because that'll reset my checkpoint. But I can hit some things like this.
Please drive more carefully. Think of our patient.
I am thinking about our patient. I want him to become unstabilized so I can show chat.
Please drive more carefully. Think of our patient.
She's gonna say it a lot, by the way, chat, because like what I'm doing is not okay.
Please drive more carefully. Think of our patient. Patient's running out of time.
No, his vitals aren't really changing that much, so I don't think I'm going to be able to trigger too much. But essentially what happens is the diagonal buttons come with the D-pad pops up and it says, here are different options that you have up to 4. Which one would you like me to do? And you can direct your partner what to do while you're still driving. Because realistically, what you're doing in this game is like 95 to 99% of the work in the game, right? You're the one who's driving to the scene. You're the one who's deciding how you want to diagnose the patient. You're the one who's doing the treatment itself. And you're the one who's driving the transport to the hospital. There's very few situations where your partner takes over for you, and sometimes that's like CPR. You can have them perform CPR while you're driving to the hospital because it's like a last resort. You've done everything else. They're crashing. CPR, right? And then get them to the hospital. S. So it was an A rating based on what I did, but because of the difficulty, it got upped to an S, basically. So there you go. And so now you can see all the different callouts that I've had so far. So I had a house fire. This is the results of that. I had a car crash. So that was the results of that. And a stress attack. That was the result of that. That's what we've done so far. Sometimes this turns really hard. Sometimes it's not. Really depends.
No one will notice that.
I didn't run over anything. What do you mean? I actually didn't do anything wrong that time. I'm innocent.
Dispatch to ambulance 152, come in. Over. Alarm for
Ambulance
ambulance
152 here.
152.
Go ahead.
Get ready
Over.
for a new call out. Received a report of a major incident, possible highway bridge collapse causing traffic accidents.
Uh-oh, chat.
Situation unclear, but we're on high alert. Need you at the scene ASAP to assess and report on casualties.
We are going to a catastrophic
Additional
event.
units en route. Stay tuned for updates. Over.
Understood. Heading to the scene.
So you can tell everything changes.
152 out.
The tone, the hype, the music, everything is changing. And there it is. So if you heard the call out, it was that a highway collapsed. So as we're coming up to the scene, you can see the highway has actually collapsed. That's it.
Check the map.
You can see the highway has completely fallen in. It looks like there used to be something here, maybe a gas station, and that's what caused the explosion. Woo! Look at the guy crawling. It's so brutal. And there you go, chat. That is the demo for Ambulance Life, a Paramedic Simulator. So that's the same procedure. You'll go through that. You can restart. You can hit continue. And it goes right back into doing 3 callouts. You'll get the trigger for the catastrophic event, and it'll bring you back to the pop-up. You can keep going through that. So how you will handle the catastrophic event is you are given a timer, and you've probably seen it in 1 or 2 of the videos so far. There's a timer right in the middle of the screen that's clocking down. That tells you that you have X number of minutes to find as many patients as possible. And you have to assess that patient as quickly as you can and assign them a triage tag, just like we showed you in the very first call out, the second call out. That will determine how quickly those people need to be treated. Some people are fine. Some people are already dead. Some people are in critical. Some people are stable, but will need help pretty soon. And once your timer is out, or once you've decided that you've found no more patients, you're as good as you can be, you'll then transition away from the scene of the accident right on site to a makeshift hospital. And there'll be 5 patients there that you then have to treat all simultaneously. And so the order in which you treat them, how efficient you are in your treatment, how correct your diagnoses are, is all relevant. Time is the biggest factor that you have in those situations. And there will absolutely be situations where you will not be able to save everybody. And those are the times where you're going to have to make very difficult decisions about what you're going to be doing, what you're not going to be doing, who's going to live, who's going to die. There may be a situation where somebody is in critical condition and you can spend the time it takes to stabilize them and you could save their life. But in that time, how many others may pass away or become critical because of that decision that you made, right? So it's all part of the player agency, where we give you all the tools at your disposal and you need to do the best that you can with what you have, whether it's the information or tools at your disposal. And that's the game. Yeah, from ambulance game to a horror game real quick. We took that's really like the biggest differentiator between this and Police Simulator is Police Simulator was always designed to be a teen rated game. So we had a really wide audience to be able to play this pretty tame simulator, right? The players never put into any fatal situations. In Ambulance Life, you are running into burning buildings. You are literally saving people's lives. You're stopping, arterial bleeding from spurting out from somebody's leg. You're bandaging that. So you're doing some pretty really gnarly stuff. You're getting your hands dirty in this one for sure. And I think that's what is one of the really big appeals on the game. But not only that, it's just everything that we took from Police Simulator, we just upped the ante, and all the learnings we took, we just, increased the experience. I think it's really fun. I think it's really sick. So you can see here that normally you would have in tier 4 of this district, we would have a 30-minute shift unlocked. This was about 15 minutes, but then it was times 3 because it's the demo. But then we could have also had a gunshot call out, so somebody's called because they were shot by a gun in some capacity, so you could deal with the gunshot wound. Let's see what else is not unlocked here. We have diabetes, we have exposure, somebody fell. We unlocked the glucometer and glucose. Glucometer is a vital tool that you actually have to use regularly to see if the blood sugar levels are changing while you're treating them, because that will affect how you finish your treatment as well. Is this also a horror game? Not specifically, Smoker. I mean, I guess you could make it a horror game. I mean, yes. You're not technically wrong about that, Buffalo. Not at all. That's it, guys. That's Ambulance Life. Any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and pull up the... I'm going to pull up the Steam news here. We're going to go over some of the stuff that we announced today. Some of the really exciting stuff. The cool stuff. How can you access the tools like bandage outside of the ambulance? It's the same button. Yep. So for me, it's for you. For on keyboard, it's T, and then for me, it's going to be the right trigger, and that brings up the same tools there. You won't have access to every tool. Like you're not going to be able to start a vascular access or potentially do an intubation there on the scene. That'll be more for the ambulance, but there are some immediate things that you can do, like a neck brace or tourniquet or bandages. To deal with an immediate issue. and then you transfer them with the stretcher into the ambulance and then continue your treatment from there. And the stuff that you've done is already in there as well, which is nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw the banner up real quick so I can change the scene. And we're gonna talk briefly about the stuff that's going on in the game. Right? Okay. So let's go to the actual event. Okay, so Ambulance Life Paramedic Simulator, Medics, the day has come. Demos and release dates and pre-orders. Oh my. Who knows that reference? I can't wait to watch Troy do that major accident. I know. There's a couple of them, and some of them are horrifying. For sure, Smoker. So you can bandage a person and take a different person with you to the hospital? Yes, you can, theoretically. So you could stabilize somebody because maybe all they have is a cut or an arterial wound. If you're bandaging that or tourniqueting that, then you could potentially take somebody else with you. Yes, you can do more. And you will be graded on each individual patient in that scenario as well. Simply assessing somebody still gets you a pretty high score because it means you took the time to make sure that there wasn't a life-threatening situation with that person. And even if there was, presumably there's a paramedic right behind you on your tail that is picking up those people. Nobody necessarily dies just because you abandoned the scene. You did your job. You took a patient, you essentially called in backup, and then you treated your patient and transported them. Okay. So for those who may not know, the demo for Ambulance Life: A Paramedic Simulator is finally available today on Steam. Be the first to start your shift and send Pelicano. And then here is the video. This video is actually awesome. I love the music that they used in this. Oh, I'm struggling with internet. Man, it's a 30-second clip and it won't buffer. Try one more time. No, it's not. Let me try going straight to YouTube, see if that works. No, it's not. No big deal. I'll throw this in the chat. So the release date, we are also thrilled to announce that the official release date for Ambulance Life: A Paramedic Simulator is February 6th, 2025. So it's 7 short weeks away. We're really happy to be able to finally give you guys a date. I know it's something you've been really anxious for a long time. We have too. So we're happy to finally announce that. And if you are interested in pre-ordering the game, there's a couple of different editions that you can be aware of. So you have the standard edition of the game, which is simply the game, and it's priced based on the platform you're buying it on. There is also the supporter, or also known as the deluxe edition, depending on the console, which includes some amazing extra content. So not only do you get the full game, you also get the Bayside expansion, which adds new multiple scenarios. And that essentially is a new catastrophic event, which is involving the bridge, as you can imagine. And you get the fire department cosmetic pack, because there are some cosmetics that you can switch out inside the game, whether that's costumes or that is decals for your vehicles, things like that. Essentially mods that are made by us for you to use. You have 15 additional sirens, which is super sick. Some of them are very goofy. I think actually most of them are goofy. They're like funny noises. So that's really fun. And then you have the Paramedic Handbook, which, as you know, inside the game, the Bible is that player guide that tells you everything you could possibly know about the game itself, but about every intervention, every tool, every vital taking diagnostic method, all these different things inside the game, you will now have in a digital PDF that you can access anytime. So if you have 2 monitors, or maybe you have a tablet in front of you, you can be scanning through the PDF while you're playing the game. That makes simulation mode a lot easier. Instead of having to check the menu every single time for one specific thing, you might be able to keep it right in front of you for those really pesky times. What's really cool about it too is not only is that it's not just a replica of the tablet that's inside the game, we also included some really cool tidbits. So behind the scenes commentary from the developers, funny stories or medical situations that our paramedic advisors have been through. Just like really interesting behind the scenes stuff that gives the handbook a lot more flavor. It's pretty cool stuff. It's pretty cool. I think fans will really like that one. So to celebrate all this incredible news, we're officially opening up pre-orders for both editions so our medics can be ready to start their first shifts on day 1. So frequently asked questions. This is a fantastic link where you can go ahead. I gotta make that an actual clickable link, huh? It's not clickable. It's essentially like some of the most frequently asked questions for the game, like what is Paramedic Simulator? What do you do in the game? What is the game loop? What are all the different ways that you can treat somebody? What are callouts like? All these are different things that are answered throughout that. Really cool stuff. But I did want to say this part out loud. From the bottom of our hearts here at Acer Interactive, thank you so much for your excitement, passion, and patience over the past year. We're both excited and nervous to share this latest project with the world, and we can't wait to see what y'all think. If you love the demo, please consider throwing a wish list or pre-order our way. It helps us out so much. So much. So much. Also, be sure to become part of the conversation in our official Discord community server for the latest news, announcements, and details on Ambulance Life, a Paramedic Simulator. See you on the streets of San Pelicano, medics. There you go, chat. That about sums it up. What do we think? You guys excited? I'm excited. How do I get that? I don't see a price. So that is it depends on the system. But if you look at the pre-orders that are available on PS5 for you, Smoker, that'll show what the price is for there. I think it's a $10 difference. I don't remember. It's a $10 or $5 difference. Oh yeah, I'm downloading the demo right now. I'm buying it as we speak, Buffalo. Love you, brother. I know you've been very anxious. You've been here for all of our streams. What is Troy doing? What am I doing? I am streaming right now. What are you doing? Super excited. Isaiah, me too. I'm excited. Well, that's it for us, guys. It's been about 2 hours. It was a slow start because there was so much to go over because there were so many people that were brand new that have never been to our streams before. So I kind of wanted to go everything that I could. I'm just so impressed the difference y'all have made since the playtest. It's a big leap for sure. What was that? February. It was like February, March, right? I think it was the end of February, beginning of March. That was like really an alpha test, arguably. It was very unoptimized. We had AI voices because we didn't have any of the voice acting done yet. We didn't decide what was going to be in the game yet. So we did like AI versions of all of our voices. I'm very proud of Acer Interactive for this masterpiece. It means a lot to us. We appreciate you. I know that you were having trouble playing the demo. I'm hoping that maybe the tips that I showed you today, the tips that we posted in the channels, and maybe the upcoming patch that we do for the demo will help you play it a little easier. So I really hope that it works out for you because we'd love to have you on the streets for sure. Around there, dude, it's just insane and I'm super excited. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Demo is only for computer players. It is, Smoker. It is. And it's really just because we didn't have a version that was ready in time for Sony and Xbox. They take a lot longer to verify console versions than the PC version. Valve was like, yep, good enough. Go ahead, push it right through. And so we decided to push on through. And I'm double proud that they're based in my country, Germany. Indeed. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please be sure to stop by our Discord. If you're not already part of the Discord, that's where all the conversation's happening first. Anything that's announced is announced there, and then it's put onto socials afterwards. Stop on by. We have some really cool stuff happening in the Discord pretty soon. We actually, if you want to hear me speaking with the developers while I'm playing the demo, I have our technical art director, Wolfie. Similar to the interview that I did with Aaron, where we talked a little bit about like the impetus behind the game and some of the inspiration and some of the really cool behind the scenes stuff that you don't really get to hear normally. That video is posting, I think, within the next hour or so on YouTube, but it's set as a premiere on our YouTube channel. So you can go and check it out there and see when it's live and sign up for notifications by clicking that bell and sign up for follows. Same here on Twitch. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I will see you in Discord. Troy will be playing the full game on stream before release. I'm going to try to, yeah. With Nikon's blessing, as long as we know that it's ready before it comes out, I would absolutely like to do that. At the very least, I'll be playing the demo probably a couple more times on stream. Tomorrow's is probably going to be the demo as well. And then maybe again like Wednesday or something like that. Maybe once we have the new patch up and running. But that's it, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I will see you on the flip side. Have a good night, y'all.